Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Today's word will be coming from the Gospel of Luke, Luke chapter 15, verse 28. That's Luke 15 and 28. It says, and he was angry, and he would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. Today I want to talk about be present. The year to be in 2023, God says he wants us to be present. It's time for us to stop making excuses. It's time for us to show up and be present. Of course, the context of our text comes from the story of the prodigal son. The prodigal son, the younger son who got his inheritance and began to go into riotous living. He ended up starting living wild on the hog and ended up finding himself living with the hog. When he came to himself, he went back to the father's house. The father, of course, was waiting for him with open arms, with love, mercy, and grace. Of course, the father began to rejoice because his son who was dead, but now he's alive. His son who was lost, but now he's found. His son who was blind, but now he sees. He celebrated and have a party for him. But yet there was an elder brother who, instead of him going to the party, found himself on the outside looking in. But the father went to him and began to entreat him. But the boy began to make excuses, saying, listen, I've always been with you, Dad, but this son of yours came home and you give him a party, but you never give me a party like this. He was bitter, he was resentful, he had an unforgiving spirit, of course, and he was dealing with bitterness. The Apostle Paul says in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15, he said we have to look diligently lest we fail the grace of God. We can fail the grace of God lest a root of bitterness come up and trouble us, whereby many are defiled. When we allow bitterness to get into our spirit and it takes root, then you begin to have bitter fruit and you find yourself on the outside looking in. Therefore, Paul says we have to pray this prayer in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse number 1. It says, having therefore these promise, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from filthiness of flesh in the spirit, and then perfect holiness in the fear of God. Paul says there are sins not just of the flesh, but there are sins of the spirit. And when we are dealing with unforgiveness, when we are dealing with bitterness, when we are dealing with anger, when we're dealing with pride, and we find ourselves outside looking in, then we got to ask God to cleanse us and wash us so that we can be present. I pray again that you stop making excuse and you show up and be present. I pray the word of God has blessed you. As always, today will be better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better than today. Why? I will strive to live better, be better, and do better. Be present.